Alright guys, here in my garage, wait, that's the wrong video. Yeah, let's get out of the garage and get into the game room. Talking about knowledge. Alright guys, here's the game room right here. It is in my basement. And this game room looks pretty darn good. I'm actually really happy with it, but it is kind of a temporary setup, as where we are going to remodel the basement, and then majority of the basement is going to end up being the game room. So it's going to completely change as of right now. You know, this looks pretty good, but I wanted to actually, you know, just let you know there's going to probably be another game room tour after we remodel, and it'll look a lot better than this. But this is still really good, you know. I think it's the one misconception that people have when it comes to a gaming room is you don't need a ton of space. I've seen people use a closet as small as a closet to make a little gaming area for themselves. You know, I just so happen to have this entire room available. When we do remodel, this room is going to end up being the workout room. So all of the weightlifting stuff that's over here, I can show that real quick. Yeah, there's a lot of workout area stuff here, mind the mess, but this will all be moved. All the workout stuff will be moved to the actual gaming room. All right, back to the gaming room. So let's get started here, and I'm going to start on this back wall right here, which is incredible. I started collecting VHS tapes, and it kind of got out of control pretty fast. As you can see, there's a lot of Disney VHS right here. I got a ring fit right there. And behind that, let me take this down. There's not enough room. I got a complete in-box Guitar Hero 2 for PlayStation 2. It's got everything, the guitar, all that stuff. Got that from a friend. I wasn't actually planning on getting that, but he was giving me some good deals for things he was going to trade in, so I was like, I will take that. Other than that, I've been slowly collecting, you know, VHS tapes. Well, I mean, I've already accumulated this without really even trying. And then there's another Guitar Hero guitar right here. That's old paint. Don't worry about that. If I back up a little bit, you can see this is like my chair. And then I have my son's chair right there, you know, so he can actually play games and stuff. In this corner, there's a lot of like spare boxes, some old storage stuff, you know, some old consoles that I still need to sell. That's a working N64, but under it is like a broken one that I need to sell for parts. There's a tower right there to hold controllers. I mean, and then I have like a bunch of charging cables right here to charge all of that. Most of the controllers are by the systems, as you can see here. But yeah. Starting first here on the top shelf is the Top Loader NES. It's like my holy grail NES. It's a top loader, which also, you know, as everyone knows, it runs the NES cartridges better. It works so much better than the original NES. And this one has also been RGB modded to have, you know, RGB out on it. And that's one of the consoles that does not have RGB natively. If you watch my RGB modded CRT TV video, you'll know that that's one of the ones I mentioned that needs a modification. I probably paid way too much money for this top loader because I actually, funny enough, I misread in eBay, the eBay listing. I thought it was already RGB modded, but it was only AV modded. And then once I got it, I then took the AV modded top loader to a local retro console modder, and he modded it for the RGB, which I had to buy all the parts for, which is not cheap, and then also pay him. So I got kind of, I paid roughly, I would say $400 to $500 for the NES, which is a mistake. You can you can actually buy RGB modded NES's top loaders for cheaper than that. I was already in, I made a mistake, and yeah. What's in it right now is an EverDrive that has most of the games, that has like pretty much all the NES games. And if you don't know what the EverDrive is, it basically has an SD card in it that has all the ROMs on it for the NES. So it's actually playing the games off the cartridge, and it's the ROMs. And it's not really emulation, it's actually playing the actual real game. So it's like in between what the real cartridge is and what emulation is, but it's technically not emulation because it's pulling the ROM directly from the cartridge. And then plugged into it right now is an 8BitDo receiver with the 8BitDo controller. I'll make a separate video talking more about the controllers specifically. And then next to that is a soccer ball that is actually a black and white TV. It does work. I'm not going to plug it in right now, but it literally does work. It has AV outs on the back here. I can show that. If I can show that. Turn it around, but yeah, it's got AV out on the back right there, and it literally does work. Well, actually, let me see how hard it would be to get this hooked up. One sec. Maybe I can hook the NES up to it real quick. And you can see there's the EverDrive on the screen. And what are we playing here? Super Mario Brothers 3. So, as you can see there, it's working. Does the music work? Oh, whoa. It's hard to capture right now because it's not set in the correct mode, but it's for sure working. And yeah, looks good. I found this at a garage sale for $4 and was like, yep, you're coming home with me. You're so weird. But yeah, that's basically it for this. I'll turn this off. Oh, turn that off, and I'll hook back up to Scart. Alright, so continuing on, we got the Dreamcast fishing pole and Chainsaw Man figure. That anime is awesome. And then we have the TurboGrafx 16 with one of the knockoff EverDrives plugged into it. It's actually really cool. Very under the radar console. Came out during the console wars and was like one of the third picks for the consoles, but got vastly underlooked. It was known as the PC Engine in Japan, which that's a PC Engine right there. And that's the preferred one I like to use. I actually think the way that the PC Engine looks is so much better than the actual TurboGrafx 16. The design is like, I mean, look how big and weird that looks compared to that. I mean, I just think the PC Engine looks so much better. Now we'll go to the next floor, or the next level here. Next we have the Model 1 Genesis. Which is, I think, the best Genesis if you're going to go for just straight Genesis, not Sega CD or 32X, because it has the volume knob here. And I got this cable from Insurrection Industries. It actually ports in the stereo sound from the headphone jack into the SCART cable, and then routes that back. So it's pretty amazing. Next up is my Super Nintendo. This Super Nintendo obviously has had a custom paint job. I went for like an old school like stereo kind of look up, so gold and black. I actually tried to un-yellow it, so I tried to retro bright it, and it didn't work. And at a certain point I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna paint the whole thing. It'll look better anyway, and I'm actually very happy with the way it came out. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but all of the controllers I have, they are all wireless. Almost every console has wireless controllers to it, which is really cool as well. Next up is the Dreamcast with the Retro Fighters wireless controller, which has, if you can see there, it has the VMU in the wireless receiver, which is awesome. I really like this controller for the Dreamcast. I highly recommend it. Again, I'm going to come out with another video that's going to highlight just controllers for all of these consoles and different options that you would have. But yeah, this Dreamcast has a GDMU in it, so it has an SD card inside. If I open it up, there's just an SD card slot in there with basically a ton of Dreamcast games. I've also modded it to have the better battery, and obviously there's been a case swap as well. Love the Dreamcast, highly underrated system. Next up is a Jungle Green N64. This thing is actually like absolutely amazing. The Jungle Green is like it's probably my favorite color overall. Also, this one it's got the Redream PSU. Also, I forgot to mention, the Dreamcast has one of those as well. It has the Dream PSU installed, so it can actually run off a 12 volt. All of the consoles that are here are plugged into a single power adapter that has 100 watts on it, and everything is using power delivery with USB-C cables. So I'll show that as well. I'm going to make a video focusing completely on that so you understand exactly how it works. And I'm actually going to have some retro consoles that I'm going to run just off of power banks for a video as well. So stay tuned for that. Alright, next up is a PlayStation 1 with the screen attached. And that is going to be the first video that I highlight with power delivery and kind of show it out in the wild running, you know, off a battery bag and kind of go through how that's set up. The reason I went power delivery and USB-C for all of these consoles is because it greatly decreases the amount of wall warts and power adapters that you have plugged in. So now I have so much room. Next is the PlayStation 2 Slim. I actually have that, that's one of the ones that is using its own adapter because it has a weird voltage. It's 8.5 volts. The PlayStation 1, I have a voltage regulator inside that actually will decrease the power to 7.5, which is exactly what it uses. So I still haven't found a solution for the PlayStation 2, although 8.5 and 9 volts are not too uncommon, so I probably could run it that way, but I don't want to hurt the console in any way, just in case. Next up is an open spot, but you can see we got the Slinky Dog from Toy Story and an Android Krang figure just chilling. I try to integrate a lot of my figures with the consoles just because I think it's cool, but yeah, I'll be adding more once I have a permanent game room. Next up is the Analog Pocket, which if you know what that is, it is basically the Lamborghini of Game Boy. Natively, without any adapters, it can play all Game Boy games, including Game Boy Advance, but then they also came out with adapters that will play Game Gear games, play TurboGrafx-16 games, play a bunch of those different consoles, which is insane. I absolutely love the console, and then it's easy to hack as well, so you get unlocked cores. It's using FPGA technology, so you can play things like, you know, that's actually where I got introduced to the TurboGrafx-16, as well as Neo Geo. So it's my preferred way of playing Neo Geo right now. I do plan on getting a Neo Geo console, maybe a modified consoleized MVS one day, but as of right now, I'm playing Neo Geo on the Pocket. Now below here is just storage. We have extra controllers. I actually have enough controllers to play 4-player on N64 and the Dreamcast. Here's some more figures I haven't set up yet. I got a Pee Wee Herman figure, rest in peace. And then I have more extra controllers, light guns, things like that in here. I think this one over here is video cables. Let me see. Yep, video cables. I got another Scart Switcher right here, all of that. Here is an extra PS3 console that I actually need to sell. And I found this actually really cool CRT like emergency lantern thing from Bass Pro Shop from like a million years ago. Still in the box and everything. I still have the box somewhere around here, but yeah. So all of these are the main retro consoles right here. I have all the modern ones over here, which I'll cover in a second, but I just wanted to explain how these are all connected right now. So these are all have SCART out that go to this SCART switcher right here. This SCART switcher is an 8-in, 3-out SCART switcher. So there's 8 inputs and it can output the same video 3 times in 3 different ways. 2 is SCART and the last one is RGBS out. So it has RGBS ports that are RCA cables that are right here. So from there, RGBS out goes into my CRT TV that has been RGB modded. If you've seen my RGB modded CRT TV video, I explain that in good detail. Then I have another SCART cable going out to a retro tank that then goes to an HDMI TV. So I can actually play games on both TVs or just one, however I like. So though it's an automatic SCART switcher, so whenever I turn something on, no matter what it is, it'll auto switch to the correct input just by sensing it. So I know I have a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2, and I know a PlayStation 1 can or PlayStation 2 can play a PlayStation 1, but for some weird reason, I swear, I don't know if it's just me, but the PlayStation 1 seems to put out better picture for PlayStation 1 games than the PS2 can. So I actually prefer to play PS1 games on a PS1 with the SCART cable. So just as a test, let's take the PC Engine, and also the PC Engine, the TurboGrafx. This is the US version, obviously, the Japanese version, like I was saying before. Look how cool the cards are. There are cards in here. If I can get it out one-handed. Yeah, this is the Turbo EverDrive Pro from Crix. This thing can play all the CD games as well. So this is not cheap, you know, but this vastly cuts down on the amount of games I have to buy. And the TurboGrafx games and PC Engine games are expensive. This one is basically region. This is unregion locked, so no matter what region you plug this into, it can play the games, which is amazing. So I'm going to turn this on, and you'll see here, both screens are now working at the same time off that Scart Switcher. And then we can play some Air Zonk real quick, just to show you, you know, this is what it will look like. You can actually play both, I mean, essentially both at the same time. So this is going to be the best of both worlds, really. I can play on the RGB modded CRT, or I can play, you know, upscaled with the RetroTink. I will go in more detail later as well on this. This basically essentially turns into a multi-tap, because I have this right here, which is the PC Engine 2 USB, and then hooked up to a USB hub. I can actually plug in multiple 8-bit DOE controllers into this USB slot, and it actually reads multiple controllers. So it's actually one way to get around having to buy a multi-tap. And it also works for the PC Engine or the TurboGrafx as well, with this adapter. So this adapter will then plug into here, then hub into that. So yeah, it's actually really cool. You know, I'll cover that more in my retro controllers video, but very cool. So now that you see that the way this is all hooked up, it's a lot less work, because now I know I just turn on one of these consoles and I can play, you know. And I think there's a total of 13 consoles total in this entire room. On the modern side, we have the Switch, Steam Deck. It actually goes there. It's not there right now. And then I plan on putting a modded Wii, Nintendo Wii, right there. So that'll be cool as well. And we have more spots for more modern consoles if we get them. Obviously, that's a PS3 right there. So yeah, I tried to simplify things. I mean, I know there's a number of different ways that you can do things. Like you could do the HD Retrovision component cables and use a component switcher, and then have that connected automatically to, you know, CRT TV with component, and you're gonna get a very close picture. You know, you're gonna get a very close comparison. But I still think RGB is still king when it comes to all of this. And again, like I'll show you how cool this setup is. You just turn one of these consoles on and boom, instantly it's playing. You know, it knows right away. It's gonna go to the EverDrive, turn that off, turn this console on, immediately we're playing, you know? So this was my way of simplifying everything. SCART to SCART Switcher, then from there, output to whatever we need to be. This is the RetroTink 5X. I'm sure you're aware of what that is. But yeah, no, very cool setup. A lot of, you know, I just tried to simplify things as much as I could, because there's so many different routes you can go. There's so many different ways you can do everything, but this was just like the best way I could come up with. And yeah, so I'm gonna make a video that's gonna cover this in more detail. But that is a 100-watt two-port USB-C power delivery power adapter. And I got that off of AliExpress. I can leave that in the description below, along with the Scart Switcher as well, which works fantastically. I'll leave that in the description below as well if you want to purchase that. But if you follow these cables, they go here and then behind, and you can see they're all split apart. Again, I'm going to go into way more detail. But so every retro console that you see, basically besides the PS2, is plugged into that power adapter right there, which is pretty amazing. So one of the biggest reasons I got the EverDrive was to cut down a lot on the actual physical games that I have. I do have a collection of, you know, N64 games, Star Fox, Pod Racing, Pokemon Snap, and then I have all of my Switch games here, my PlayStation 1 games. And you'll notice a lot of the games that I have, I'm going for heavy hitters. I'm not going for games that, you know, are filler games or anything like that. I want all my physical games that I have to be basically games that I want to own. And then down here, some more Genesis games, some more PS2 games. I'm just going to quickly go through it. I even have some, you know, TurboGrafx 16 games like Ninja Spirit right there. I got Keith Courage right there. I do have a inbox Bonk as well. Yeah, I have like Bonk's Adventures right here, complete. But you know, like awesome, totally amazing. Has the manual, the game, everything. But you know, you'll go broke real fast trying to physically get all the games that you'd ever want to play. And then I have my VCR down there, which, you know, is working great and everything. I got a lot of those, are mostly PS3 games right there, which that's probably one of the most physical games I have is for the PS3 because they're so cheap right now. PS3 games are so cheap. Then panning further this way, this is a deep freezer that has extra meat and stuff. Nothing too appealing about that. I mean, we got Leonardo and Raphael right there. And then this is like extra cables and overflow, basically. I got extra power cables, extra adapters. This is like all my power delivery stuff. You got a multimeter or multimeter, however you want to say that. I've seen it said both ways. But that you definitely need that if you're going to do power delivery. Do not skimp on this. You have to have one if you're going to follow that. Again, I'll make another video about that. And then there's the GBSC, another upscaler that actually works fantastically for VGA monitors. So this is an NEC VGA monitor with speakers built in. And honestly, if you were trying to do like a little office setup or something like that, or have a little space for retro consoles, the GBSC combined with that is an awesome option. Honestly, does a great job of that. Oh yes, I almost forgot. I definitely wanted to explain some of the art on the walls and stuff too. That was a actual Father's Day gift that my wife and son got me, the Pokemon canvas right there, which is really cool. And then this is vintage bed sheets from 1984. You can see it right there, copyright. And then these are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vintage sheets that are from 1988. And I actually thought of the idea because we weren't ready to remodel yet, so I bought these hooks to just kind of like clamp on them and not like wreck the sheets or anything, and kind of hide damage that there is behind this. And it ended up looking way cooler than I thought. I was like, wow, this looks amazing, you know, compared to just showing the damage. I'm actually going to continue to use that even once I remodel and move it. And then I have a Sonic canvas right here that I found as well that looks really awesome. So my ultimate goal would be to get those old vintage like PlayStation signs or like Nintendo signs. I think those would be really cool in here, or in the once I remodel. So guys, that's basically gonna do it for the game room. You know, let me know what you guys think. Did I come up with some options that maybe you guys are going to implement in your gaming room? I still plan on adding a couple more consoles like the Sega Master System. I actually almost bought one yesterday. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because whenever I buy a new console, I have to buy like, you know, all the video cables, accessories, wireless controllers. I'll start going off on a tangent where I'll need to buy everything. So I was like, I'm going to hold off on that. You know, I have most of the systems I'd ever want right now. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the game room in the comments below. Like and subscribe. New videos every Saturday. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.